She does the Inn at Christmas Place. She used to do Tunes and Tales, which used to be a program where we'd have crafters on the Parkway in Gatlinburg. So she did that for 13 different seasons. She's a mom and a wife and a grandma. So she has actually been sewing since she learned, since she was 8 years old, right. And she learned in the 4-H groups that she was in. So she's also a singer, musician, and a storyteller. So this is Miss Sabrina Gray, Quilting Granny. So here we go. Thank you for being here. Great to have you.
Yes. Well, guys, I've been looking forward to this day for a few months now because Christina's called me and would I like to do this? I said, you don't know how much I would love to do this. I just recently had surgery. Real quick, I'll just tell you what that is. Like, that's little scars there from my carpal tunnel. But I'm doing okay now, and I'm able to do this. But that's kind of slowed me down for a few weeks. Really? I know. Yeah. Yeah. I was very excited your sister's name was Christina. I was like, what a good name. So, anyways, I've been quilting. I didn't really quilt till much older, though, but I sewed because I wanted to make things with my hands, and 4-H got me started. And then I really didn't start quilting until my first daughter was born in 1979, and I thought, I got to make a baby quilt. Anybody ever think about that when you're having a baby? You want to make one for the kid, you know? So I did, and then I started selling them because people wanted them. My stepmother started sewing them. Then I had a younger sister, and she was so awesome. I brought pictures, but I can't hook it up to the computer. But anybody wants to see later on, I can show you what she did. She didn't just quilt the things by hand. She sewed everything together by hand like the old timers did. And it was amazing. She was amazing. The year before she died, she made me my only quilt from her. And it's got a music note on it. It's just beautiful, black and white. And I'm glad I have it. It's a special thing for me. But she died when she was 50, so she's no longer here. And I started even quilting more after she left because I wanted to keep the tradition going. Quilting is really a neat art form. Does anybody know that? Back in the day, it was also the original recycling. Did you know that? Original recycling. Before we knew what recycling was. You know why? They didn't go to the corner store and buy material like a lot of people do. In fact, in Gatlinburg, there wasn't any stores at first. And the few they had, they couldn't afford if they had anything anyhow. So they would go and get their clothes. When your clothes got a rip or tear in it, they didn't throw it away like now. What'd they do? Anybody know? They would actually find other material and they cut it up and they hand stitch it. As a little girl, I remember my grandma taking my dad's blue jeans and she would take black thread, and it looked really horrible now looking back, but she would do a big stitch on it, and then sometimes she'd put another patch on there, like overlapping, because he liked his blue jeans. He didn't want to get rid of them, okay? Nowadays, the young people starting to do that too, where they layer things, right? Yeah, they do. But quilting was a necessity back then. They didn't just, like I said, they had to make their material. Anybody know a definition for what quilting is? Anybody have that? It is taking three, what do you think? It is hard, but it's also taking 3 layers, like a sandwich, of material. You start at the top, you put a filler in between, and then you have the bottom. And then you have to sew them or tie them together to make it. There's different ways to quilt. You can either tie them. Has anybody ever seen a tied quilt, tack quilt? Okay, well, we had them on the farm. What happened whenever a quilt got holey, they just put another layer on it. And my quilt, I remember as a kid, was this thick. We called it a hap. And when your toes were laid down, they stayed down all night. And if they stayed up, so it was really, really thick. And it was definitely a necessity. It wasn't for beauty. It was because we were cold. I was raised in Pennsylvania. It was cold up there, colder than here. And so we had quilts. That was my mom. I don't remember ever making me a quilt, but they did that. So when I started quilting, it was more from my desire to make something beautiful with my hands and to make it for my daughter. As I got on, let's talk about the history of this area. Anybody have any stories about quilting in this area? Anybody at all? Okay, well, I have a couple. Do you have one?
I was gonna say, when I was about 8,
Yeah.
my grandma and my mom and me, we pieced together a quilt.
Yeah.
My mom still has the top someplace because we didn't quilt it yet.
Yeah.
It was just the top.
Top.
I remember I could look at it and see my grandma's teeny stitches, and my mama's almost as teeny stitches, and my much bigger. But at this point, I cannot find it. It's in my mother's house someplace. And she doesn't know where it is. So,
well, if you find it, let me know.
I'll find that.
I love to help rescue quilts.
Yeah.
I have been so blessed. A few people, I have pictures of them on my phone that I didn't show you either. But about a year ago, one lady came up to me and she said, "Do you fix quilts?" I said, "Well, tell me what's wrong." And she had a quilt that was what do you call it? Somebody Sue. You know what that looks like? A little girl with like a like a bonnet. Yeah. And it was hers when she was her grandma was her last quilt her grandma made. So this is really old, and she was in her 60s, 70s now. And she said she about wore it out. And then her only child was a boy, and he loved it too. You know, it was pink and yellow. You know, he loved it up. And now he just got married. He's going to hopefully have children. So she said it was just coming apart. Some of them were just shredded. And she asked, "What could I do?" I said, "Well." So I did it as an act of love, and I did it. She paid me too, but you got to really love doing it, or you wouldn't do it because I had to take each applique off, and it wasn't just hand stitched on; it was embroidered around. So I had to do like 3 layers, and then I had to cut new ones out and sew them back on, and then re-embroider them to make them all look alike. So we did that. And I have pictures of that on my phone that I really enjoyed the happiness. She cried when I gave it to her. I mean, think about the memories you have about those certain things and the joy. It just made me happy too. I had another lady I met in Gatlinburg, and her name was Bonnie Cox. She was a school teacher, and she said, "I have this quilt, these pieces," and she brought them to me, and they were beautiful, all embroidered by her mother, never made into anything. A whole stack of them. They were all the wildflowers in the national park. And so she said, "Could you do something?" I said, "Yeah." So I bought, I call it edging or framing, material all green to go around each one because they're all flowers. And then I sewed it all together. And then I said, because it was all hand done, I said, I have some Amish ladies in Pennsylvania that will do it really reasonable. So I took it to Pennsylvania and got it quilted for her and brought it back. She cried too. So you know that she had her mama's still with her. And then she has that for her daughter and their grandkids. So if you know people that, like I said, I don't mind helping somebody get started the right way to get it all done. Okay, now I want to also talk. There was these older ladies. Anybody ever hear of the Walker sisters? Raise your hand if you've heard. Have you heard of them? No. Okay. Well, let me just show you real quick. I went ahead and took the book out. She was showing me what they had here, and I go, I want to read that. So I went ahead and checked it out. Oh, that's not the one. Here it is. The Walker sisters. I want to give you a little local history, okay? You want to pass that around, show everybody? And if I tell the story wrong at all, feel free to correct me, okay? I'm trying to get it right. John Walker was their father, and there was 11 kids. 11 kids. 7 of them were girls. 7. Well, only one got married, so the rest stayed home. And the dad and mom, taught them how to do everything from milking the cow to, they grew their own flax, and they had to card that flax, and they wove it into beautiful material, linens. Then they did the sheep. They shore the sheep, and they used that and wove that all together, and they made beautiful material, wool material. So they didn't go to the store. They had no electricity either. So these ladies were amazing. So they loved their farm. They loved their lifestyle. They were out in the middle of the Metcalf Bottoms, which is out off the road that goes between Sugarlands and up to Cates Cove. Okay. And the father built a schoolhouse there, and they call it the Walker Sisters Schoolhouse too. And but it come to be when they started getting older, the national park came here to town. They did something called eminent domain. Anybody know what that means? Well, they are allowed to claim land for the government's use, but they did pay them a minimal amount. But they did that with a lot of our national park, and those people that worked so hard and that was their family's homestead, they had to leave. So the Walker sisters, they got upset. By this time, their daddy had died, and they had this land, 122 acres, and they were not going to leave that land because that's all they ever knew. And they said, "We're not leaving." And this was, by the time they worked it out, they decided that they'd sell only one condition: if they could live there for the rest of their lives, life estate. And by this time, they were in their 50s, so the people in the government thought, "Oh, they're not going to be around much longer." The oldest one lived to be 92. She died in 1964. So that's the deal they worked out. They got paid $4,000 something, which that sounds like nothing now. But they got that, and then they also were allowed to stay there. Turned out people started finding out about these sisters out in the middle of nowhere, and they started, tourists would just go just to see them, you know. They watched them digging in their garden and doing all their things, and finally they started selling their things. They started making apple pies and selling little wooden toys that tourists would buy. And they did that for years. And they got to really enjoying getting to see people from around the world because they came to see them out in the middle of nowhere. They didn't go that way. So they did that until their 80s. Finally, in their 80s, they contacted the park people and said, we really have enjoyed meeting people from around the world, but we're tired. We need to take care of just the farm, so we don't want them anymore. So they did take it. The one thing cool about it is when they died, the national park owned everything because they had no children, you know. So they went and took all their goods, their clothes, everything they made, and they have it right now, a lot of it, in at the East Tennessee Historical Society. Did y'all know that? In the museum. Did you know that?
Also, actually, quite a lot of it is over in Townsend.
Okay.
The national park used to have their archival
Yeah.
items in the basement of the
Sugarlands.
Sugarlands, which was an awful place for it. You know, it was old, it was damp, it was musty, there were spiders and everything down in there, and they had a real archivist down there who was like, we've got to do something, we're going to lose these items.
Right.
So they actually raised it up enough money, and with Friends of the Smokies and all those organizations, and they have built a top-notch facility over in Townsend now. It's not open to the public like just walking in, but you can always make an appointment, and they have everything that the family didn't want of the Walker sisters is over there now.
Isn't that awesome?
It's absolutely amazing. It's a
Well,
wonderful
I've not
collection,
seen
and
that.
yeah.
But one year at Wilderness Wildlife Week, they had a big display of the whole room was from their house, you know.
Yeah.
Bed and everything. It was beautiful. So I just want to say that they knew all about quilting too. I have another local story that I want to share. Out Wares Valley, which isn't far from here. Everybody know where Wares Valley is? You go out towards Townsend. There was a family out there. I don't know the name. I got this secondhand. And they had a farm that was kind of open. And in their household, quilts was used as a sign. They would hang it out in the clothesline, say it was lunchtime or supper time, you know. But they had one special quilt they hung out for a special reason. They hung out a yellow quilt. Why do you think that was? Yellow quilt meant the preachers here visiting, so when you come in the house, clean up your hands or clean up your mouth. So, you know, of course, you also have heard about the Underground Railroad where certain quilts meant certain things. It's safe to be here, whatever it is. So there is some great history with the mountains and the quilts. There's also another quilt book here that I just found out about that I'm taking home too. So, but anybody want to look at this one? This one says The Midwife's Quilt, and it's a story about conflict and intrigue in the Smoky Mountains. See it here? So if you want to see that, pass that around. You can write it down, then come back again whenever. The other thing is all the books on your table besides that are written by an author that I absolutely love. Her name is Jennifer Cheverini, I think that's how it's said. And the first one in her series is the one that's called The Quilter's Apprentice, right here, on the end, right here. Right here. That one there. Yeah. That's the first one. And they all kind of, they're kind of intermingled. The times kind of overlap, so you really can't, they usually give you enough in that book to let it stand alone, but I enjoyed reading that one first. And it's educational and it's historical, and of course it's fictional, but it's really a great story. So anybody else have any questions about anything so far? No? Okay. So I think we're going to talk about the couple things I have up here. I have the kit that you have in front of you. You can take it out and get your needle and thread ready. Oh, I know what we forgot to get, Christina. We forgot to get scissors. Did you get your scissors?
Right.
If you don't mind getting it out. Because we all need a little bit of scissors to cut I was telling them, the books about they're just wonderful books. And we have this wonderful library here, folks. If you don't come here regularly, come back and get some books and use them. I live not far away. I live in Gatlinburg, but I haven't been in the library, this one, for a while, and I'm coming back to get some more books. You have more than the one up in Gatlinburg. Don't tell anybody.
We've been collecting oral histories, and that was our focus since we opened in 2001,
Awesome.
doing local history and Smoky
Awesome.
Mountain culture. So
Yeah,
we've
that's-
developed a pretty good collection.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. So, but for me, I've been doing this quilting for a while, and what I do when I've showed people is I take a circle. Everybody get a circle out. Then you'll kind of see what I'm going to do. you don't have to do it yet, but I'm going to show you with my big oversized circle. See right here? Pretend this is your little circle. And what I'm going to do, so for now I don't want you to do it, I want you to watch me a second. I'm going to go in from the wrong side to the right side, and then I'm going to come back to the other side again. Okay, I'm just showing you real quick. And then, because this is the way it is, I'm going to go that way. This is kind of just to let you know what we're going to do. And then we go across and make another in and out on the same spot. It makes like a little X. The reason we're doing this is to create an anchoring part where we start. Now, everybody, can you all see it like here? Is everybody here right-handed? Okay, when you get your thread, take about a little over like a foot and cut it that much off. And then you're going to thread it through your needle and you're going to tie a knot through both pieces. When you do regular quilting, you only use one thread, but this time you use two. Now, don't be afraid of the needle, guys. I tell kids all the time, if you want to just touch your needle very gently, it won't hurt you. It's when you poke it that it hurts, okay? I have little kids sometimes, they're like, don't want to touch it. They act like a snake, you know? Yeah, tie both ends. I do it around my finger and kind of pull it like that. Now, quilting is something that is not dying, but it's not as popular as it was at one time. Now, we're not going to do it together, but I'm going to show you real quick right here. When you have your thread, you're going to go to any spot on the edge and barely catch it, and you're going to pull it to the middle. See right like that? This is what you're going to do. Everybody look. Okay, you don't have to do it. I'm just showing you what you're going to do. Then you're going to go through.
But you didn't, did you stitch that to the center? Oh, you did.
I go like that, and it just went through there again like that. Now, what happened to the... Okay, I'm not going to sew through it. I'm just going to show you. Then I go to the point away from you, and I pull that in, too, with the needle. Then I pull the next one in. So eventually you're going to pull all the points in, and I'm going to do this slower when we do it together. And you're going to go like that, and it's going to look like a little hexagon. Then you're going to sew it to the middle.
Okay. Guys,
Now, it's going to start slow, guys, so be patient. Once you get it started, though, you'll be able to keep going then, okay? Anybody wants to come here and work with me one-on-one, I can do that, too. You got to put it through the wrong side of the material first, whichever one you're going to do. The middle one is the yellow one. See the yellow one right there? I suggest you start with the yellow. If you have, that's fine, okay? Doesn't matter. They're going to be all done anyhow.
I'll just pick them all out.
That's okay.
Me too.
It's not critical right now. Okay, you're on the wrong side. You go down through the middle. Oh, wait a minute. First, we fold it in half. I forgot the most important. Fold it in half and press it. See that, guys? Once you press it real good, you fold it again and press it. Because then you'll have the lines to show you where the middle of the circle is. Did you follow that? Yep. Open it up, and you'll see where the X marks the spot. Okay, you go in the wrong side and come right up. Just make a tiny little stitch. Really tiny stitch. And then pull it the whole way up till the knot. We go up and down really soon, like a real tiny spot. See there? Push it through.
Oh.
And then, once you get to the knot, you don't pull too hard because it will pull through.
Yeah.
You do it a second time. This is to keep your
Right.
knot from pulling through.
Oh, right here.
Yeah, pull it through again. You do that part real quick, and then I'll show you where to go
From
from
the
there. Pull it through.
this side?
Okay, now you're going to go to any spot on the edge, because remember the radius is the same anywhere, right? It has to be on the line, but I go like right there, okay? Now watch. Take this finger, because I'm right-handed, over my left pointer, see? And now keep it right down there.
Was I supposed
And
to
I'll be
use
able-
it too?
Okay? And then you go to this point and pull that one in. Through both layers. When you go to the point, ladies, make sure you go through both layers, okay? And this time I want to go, okay, hold on to that a second. Don't let go until I pull it through. Wait. It'll come through again.
Okay.
Because I want you, the last point you got to go a little bit deeper. Keep it straight until I pull it through. Keep it straight. There, see how I did it?
That way?
Okay.
Now, we're gonna go a little bit deeper because we're turning the raw end under, okay? So we're gonna go, see how I'm doing that right there?
Like right in there.
See?
Okay, a little bit
Now,
lower.
yeah, and that way, when we pull it over like this, when you pull it over, I call this my tongue. I'm gonna put my tongue under my thumb and pinch it under like that, see? And then we're gonna tack it to the other side. And you're gonna do 6 of these to make it, actually 7 with the middle. Let me go through very good. There. See, I didn't realize that's rusty. Sorry about that. You can do this too. This is beeswax. That makes it. You want to pass that around your hand there.
And then I like to.
If you go ahead and catch it twice in every triangle.
Okay.
And if you want to know what I mean, pass this around and look at it and leave this here too.
Okay.
Everybody can kind of know what it's supposed to look
And
like.
so we're doing this with all of the ones.
Right,
that have-
all of them. And then you're going to sew them all together, and that'll make your coaster. And then, if you want to, look at this quilt here. This
Oh,
is
wow.
all that, all by hand.
Gosh.
Full quilt top.
Hey, you know what? I want to tell you something.
Yes.
I showed this as a lady a couple years ago in Gatlinburg, and she got my information. I said, when you get something done, send me a picture. 10 months later, honest to goodness, it was a queen size quilt, all done by hand out of this. So you can do it, but it's definitely going to take a lot of time. You know,
Yeah, it's tough.
every flower that you make, you cut it out and sew it. Takes about an hour and a half for me. Okay, hour and a half. So you think somebody asks me all the time, how much to make this one? I don't know, but that's a lot of flowers and a lot of sewing on it. And you can make your own pattern, as you see. I just put a lot of green around so it looks like the flowers are laying in the green field. Or you could do it with white. You do it with black. I've made some with black background that makes it look more like Amish colors. Really kind of cool. Primary colors. And if you just want to make little presents for Christmas, you just make a coaster one. One flower's a coaster. I give them as presents and say, put your glass of water on this so you don't mess up your antique dresser next to your bed. And then by next year, you might say, hey, I'm going to turn that into a table runner and make it bigger. Then the next year, you add more to it and make it a wall hanging. You add more and you add a quilt. So you know what? And your whole family can do it. And you guys can get together and sew them all together. Isn't that fun? A long time ago. Can you all say that with me in the count of 3? 1, 2, 3. A long time ago, here in these mountains, there was a little girl about this big. She finally got big enough that she needed a blanket because she finally got her own bed. What was her mama going to do for her 200 years ago to get her a blanket? Anybody know? No? And they didn't have any stores to buy anything. So that she got in her basket and she started searching and searching until she found her daughter's favorite color. Anybody know what color that might be? Yep. So she took that material and she sat down, because back then there was no electricity, folks. And she sat by her fireplace at nighttime, and she started stitching and humming and stitching some more and reading the Bible, and then she stitched some more until she finally got her quilt done. See what it was? Her daughter loved. And guess what she put on the side of the blanket? She put her name. See what it was? Abigail loved that quilt. And this story is found in this book right here. She loved that quilt. She wrapped it around her. And every night she'd stand up by her bedside and she wiped the frost because she was looking for, what was she looking for? And once in a while she'd find one. Then she took the same quilt the next day, laid them down by her cabin outside, and she did something you guys might have done before. Tell me if you've ever done this before. What'd you do? What'd you do? Can you see what I have right here? Can't you see what this is? Yep. She would have tea. Her doll baby would have tea. And the quilt would have tea all over it. Then she'd take the same quilt and she would play dress up or pretend. Do you guys ever play dress up or pretend? What do you like to be? Don, what about you? Okay. How about you ladies at the older table? What did you like to be when you were younger? Okay. What did you guys like to be when you were older, when you were younger? What did you like to pretend to be? Okay. Anybody else? How about you? Gee, nobody said it. How about you? What did you want to be when you were a little girl? Come on. Well, she wanted to be a princess, and so did most girls nowadays. So she said, this is my gown. I'm going to town on my horse, on my rocking horse. She went clip, 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 and she She's about ripped that quilt one time. Her mama had to fix it for her. So she took the same quilt and she played a game that you all might have played. Raise your hand if you played hide and seek before. Everybody here has, right? Except she was the youngest of 4 girls. And so she said, this is how she played it. She said, don't peek. Don't peek. And every time, this is where she hid. And every time they found that squirt. Achoo! What's the blue Abigail will get sick? She needs her blanket to get better. Does anybody have a blanket that they sleep with when they're not feeling good? Come on, raise your hand. I do. Come on, yeah. Well, as Miss, you said you had one, your mom did, and everybody did so. But anyways, so then she felt better. Well, one day Abigail's mom and papa came to her and said, Abigail, we're going to move. And she said, what? Can y'all say what with me? What? And they said, we're going to move. She said, why? Can y'all say why? Why? And they said, look around you. It's too crowded. There's too many people. There's not enough critters. And, it's just, you can't even see the trees anymore. So we're going out west. And she said, oh no, out west. So they looked, and sure enough, they got the big wagon. They sold the big log cabin. They sold all the furniture. And they even sold the rocking horse. Can we all say no? Well, they sold everything, and except for a few things they put in their blanket chest on that big old covered wagon. You know what they put in there? They put their china. They put their extra clothes. How many dresses do you think each one of them owned back then? You're right. You watch Little House on Prairie. You're right. So their dresses, all their whole family's wardrobe went in one blanket chest with the blankets and the china. Could your family do that today, folks? What do you think? No, I don't think so. Well, everything went in there except for the blanket. What happened? Anybody know? Guess. Nope, didn't get sold. Nope. She said, I can't put it in the blanket chest. I am so scared of this trip. I've never been out west. She wrapped it around her and said, Mama, don't make me take it off. And her mama said, okay, you can wear it on one condition, because she knew she wasn't going to take it off. She said, you get to wear it as long as you take it off one night of the week. You know what night of the week that was? Saturday. That's right, bath night. So she took that quilt and she carried it with her every step of the way, every mile, across all the bumpy roads. Back then, sometimes there was no roads at all, and they went right through the river and the rocks, and it was horrible. They finally, months later, they came out this big clearing. And in that clearing, that's where Papa, you want to be our Papa in our story? Stand up a second. Stand up. I want you to scout out and say lots of trees.
I'm so old-fashioned, I'm older than dirt.
Okay, well, I want you to do this. You're my actor now. Say lots of trees.
Lots of trees.
Say lots of critters.
Lots of critters.
And best of all, no people.
And best of all,
no people.
You won't see none.
So now you tell the whole family. Say welcome home.
Welcome home.
Okay, everybody. Say welcome home on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Welcome home. And I have one more if we have time. Do I have time for one more?
Sure.
Okay, or I could do 2 more.
One more's good.
Okay. I'll keep you wanting more for next time. Now that lady back there, you.
Me? Her.
I've got 3 now.
Yay.
Hey, see, you can do it. Everybody.
I'm about to run out of thread. I'm going to have to thread my needle again.
People say all the time, what do you do with quilts that are too holy to fix? Or really thin and you just no keeping them. I say,
turn them into stock.
I say what? I say, tell the story to everybody with that piece of quilt. So I'm going to tell you now, Mama. Everybody listen. There was once a woman that lived to be 97 years old. And when she died, she went to heaven. And she got up there and she got to the pearly gates and she thought, oh boy, I bet you they're going to play my story, my life story to everybody like you hear the preachers say here in this earth. But they met her at the door. They said, you got that wrong. And she goes, what? They said, your life wasn't made into a story like a movie. Your life was made into a quilt. And so she got a big smile of relief because she thought, whoo. Then she thought, uh-oh. To make a pretty quilt, you need pretty pieces, don't you, folks? Right? And she thought, my life wasn't very pretty. In fact, she thought, when I was little, we were so poor that we hardly had enough food on the table. We went to bed hungry a lot of nights. So she thought a quilt at that time of her life was rough and not really pretty at all. Then she thought about she got a little older and she met a boy that she liked, and he was her high school sweetheart, and she got married to him right out of high school, and they had 3 boys in 3 years, and that was pretty good those 3 years. But the third one that was born, he left her for the neighbor lady and never looked back. And so she had to raise those 3 boys by herself. So she's sure that the quilt was not just rough, but that quilt at that time, look folks, had a hole in it. Because she had a hard time even believing there was a God then. So then life went on because she was a single mother then. She had to raise these kids with no money. And so life was rough again. She had a rough time. Boy, shoo. And then those kids, to make up for it, she finally got a job and she started buying stuff for her kids. You know how the parents go when they're single? They indulge them and buy them a little bit much, right? They spoil them a little bit. And so those kids started getting spoiled. They started getting in trouble in school and getting in trouble. And then they got a little older and they got in trouble with the law. Some of them went to prison. Oh my goodness, she was just worried. And then they got older, they got married, they had more kids. The grandkids were worse than the kids were. And she didn't know what to do. She worried the rest of her life. So she's positive that a quilt out of her life story was pretty ugly. So she was thinking about that as the angels went to the back place where they stored the quilts and pulled them out and brought it out. And she hid her face in shame because she didn't want to see it. But then she heard the crowd say, ooh, ah. Can y'all say that with me? Ooh, ah. So she looked again, and sure enough, the quilt had holes in it. But the holes were arranged in a mosaic picture of the face of Christ. And she heard the Lord say, yes, you did struggle. Yes, you did have a rough time. But every time you chose to believe in me, you let my light shine through you, and your life was a beautiful quilt.
Oh, lovely.
The end.
Well, thank you guys for coming tonight.
Yep.
And thank you, Ms. Gray, for being here, for Quilting Granny to be here.
Thank you.
Next week.